Hello, and welcome to my 2022 Steamboat Springs Real Estate Market Report and 2023 forecast. I'm Doug Labor. I'm an associate broker with Steamboat Sotheby's International Realty and general manager of our downtown office. 2023 was a very special year for me, where it marks my 40th anniversary as a Colorado real estate broker. Yes, I actually started in this business when the only way we had to search for properties was with these MLS books. My, how times have changed. Throughout those 4 decades, I've assisted thousands of clients successfully navigate the many ups and downs of the market and have gained lifelong friendships along the way. For those of you who saw my report last year, the title I gave pandemic year number 2 was Unpredictable and Unprecedented. This year was a bit less unprecedented, but with the new highs and lows 2022 posted, I just had to keep the unpredictable part, and you'll shortly see why. If this is your first time seeing my annual reports, it's good to know they're very detailed. This year, I have around 100 slides, so whether you're a buyer, seller, or just curious about our market, there will be valuable information for you. I cover not only what's happening in Steamboat Springs, but also our surrounding communities for every property type, including the affordable and luxury markets. And last, you just may be surprised with my predictions for 2023. So let's get started. Thank you for tuning into my annual market report. Now let the show begin. As I mentioned, I kept the unpredictable title from 2021 for 2022, but also added a second title of A Tale of Two Halves. This graph shows the three major tracking categories of transactions, dollar volume, and listings over a 16-year period, and just how unpredictable 2022 was, with substantial declines in each one of these three markers. However, digging deeper into the data, the market change only occurred in the second half of the year. It's funny, for I started compiling this information at the start of the NFL playoff games and the wild card game between the LA Chargers and Carolina Panthers. The Chargers came out on fire at the end of the first half and were up 27-7, and it looked like they were on their way to running away with the game. Then the second half totally flipped, and Carolina scored 24 points, held the Chargers to just one field goal, and pulled out a 1-point victory. A game is not decided by just one half. It's what the scoreboard says at the final whistle. Okay, let's get back to real estate and take a look at the listings the Steamboat Springs Multiple Listing Service posted in 2022. The MLS had 1,527 listings for the year. This was a drop of 19% from the prior year and set an all-time low for the MLS dating back over 15 years. As I mentioned at the outset, 2022 was a tale of two halves. The first 2 quarters of the year, as represented by the blue line, shows the MLS carried 850 listings during that time, or a drop of 18% from 2021. Listings dropped even more in the second half of 2022 and only had 677 listings to sell, or a 20% decline. As you'll see a little later, record low inventory is part of the reason for the drop in transactions. Throughout this report, I pulled some sound bites from Sotheby's International Realty's Luxury Outlook for 2023 or 2022 market report. The 2023 document shows an agent survey stating 67% of agents across their markets are experiencing low or very low inventory. So what we are seeing in the steamboat market is like most other markets. As far as transactions go, in 2021, the market broke an all-time record with 1,660 transactions. That number dropped by 33% in 2022 to 1,202, which was more of a typical year for sales. However, looking at the year in halves, Qs 1 and 2 saw 640 transactions, but Qs 3 and 4 saw only 562. or a 38% drop from the comparable time period in 2021. From a public perspective, it is easy to say it was the economy and interest rates, but after seeing the low amount of inventory we had, that too came into play. It's hard to buy something if it's not for sale. The relationship between listings or supply and transactions or demand is called the absorption rate and is a barometer on how many listings are purchased or absorbed by the market in a given year. An absorption rate of 100% would mean every property that came on the market that year sold. 2021 had an absorption rate of 96%. This is the highest rate the market has ever seen and substantially distanced itself from the prior record of 2020. In 2022, the absorption rate was 79%, which was the third highest rate on record. Looking at the two halves, the first half of 2021 saw a 91% absorption rate and actually increased to 94% in 2022. However, after breaking an all-time high absorption rate in the second half of 2021 at 122%, the rate dropped a whopping 46% to 65% in 2022. However, that was still the fourth best on record. A high absorption rate means properties do not stay on the market that long. This graph shows just how long it took for the various property types to sell. In 2022, land sales, which is represented by the brown line, took 37 days to sell, with the first half selling in 39 days and the second half of the year selling in 36 days. Single-family homes, or the line in pink, took only 15 days to sell and went from 11 days in the first half to 20 days in the second. Townhome sales were on the market 12 total days and going from 6 days to 21 days from the first half to the second. And condos only took 6 days to sell, moving from 5 days in the first half of the year to 10 days to sell in the second half. When you think about it, this short time is pretty amazing. For properties first had to go on the market, be shown, the buyer submit an offer, the seller would most likely have several offers to consider. There may be some additional negotiations between the two, then the listing would post as off the market. All of that would need to happen in 2 weeks' time. When looking at dollar volume for all this activity, the Steamboat Springs MLS posted over $1.2 billion in sales. This is a 23% decrease from 2021, but still the second best on record. The first half of 2022 saw a 6% decrease from 2021, but the second half took a big hit with a 36% decline from 2021. However, as you'll see in the next slide, these drops are not necessarily from a drop in demand, but a drop in supply. For the first time in its history, the Steamboat Springs MLS had an average purchase price over $1 million, a 15% increase from 2021, and a median price jump at an amazing 37%. This would not have occurred if demand was low. It more had to do with the lack of supply. And although the last 2 quarters of 2022 saw a decline in the absorption rate, it was still over 60%. And average prices were in the top 4 going back 112 quarters. To summarize activity for 2022, looking at all 3 major indicators, dollar volume in green was the second highest the market has seen. Listings in pink was the lowest the market has ever posted, and transactions in blue was the 9th highest in the past 16 years. Looking specifically at property types, land transactions, or the brown line, decreased 47%. Single-family homes, or the blue line, dropped 20%. Condo transactions, the red line, dropped 20%, and townhome sales, or the green line, dipped by 31%. So what's happening in the market from a geographic perspective? Transactions in the town limits of Steamboat typically take the lion's share, where Steamboat captured 58% of overall transactions. Stagecoach had 13%, North Route in the Steamboat Lake and Elk River area 9%, Hayden captured 6%, the three South Route communities of Oak Creek, Pittsburgh, and Yampa took in 5%, and the South Valley, which is the home to some of our most expensive real estate and includes the developments of Catamount, Dakota Ridge, Alpine Mountain Ranch, Sydney Peak Ranch, and others, captured 7% of overall sales. When looking at the Stagecoach area located 17 miles south of Steamboat, overall transactions decreased 28% year over year. After having a banner year in 2021 for land transactions, as represented by the brown line, Stagecoach land took a 37% hit in 2022, which was due mainly from the lack of inventory. In fact, in 2021, there were 28 land listings priced under $10,000. 2022 had a mere 2 go on the market. The same number of single-family homes sold in 2022 as 2021, and the number of townhome sales nearly doubled at 18. The low supply of homes generated a 17% median price increase to $902,000. Townhomes increased 15%, condo prices increased 57%, and prices for land went up 194% to $50,000, which is most likely due to the number of sub $100,000 lots for sale, as mentioned in the earlier slide. I'd like to point out that in these graphs, if you see a break in the lines as identified by the green arrow in the green townhome line, it means no townhome sales occurred for that particular year. Also, if you find a lone dot, as identified by the blue arrow, it means sales did occur that year, but none prior to or preceding that year. Although median price is a good barometer for property values, a more relied upon means most real estate professionals use to determine value and market trends is what a property type would cost on a dollar per square foot basis. 2022 square foot values in Stagecoach for single family homes increased 21% to $382. This would mean a typical 2,000 square foot home will cost around $764,000, or a 3,000 square foot home around $1,146,000. Condo values increased 35%, and townhome values went up 13% to just under $300. On the western end of Route County is the town of Hayden, where, as you can see, there was a record number of sales in COVID-stricken 2021 at 140, but sales dropped off to 56 in 2022. Hayden land sales almost tripled in 2021, then returned to near normal in 2022. Single-family home sales dropped to 16, and townhome sales dropped to 7. However, median prices across the board increased, with home sales at $482,500. Townhomes went up by 46%, condo median prices went up 19%, and land jumped up a substantial 78%. Dollar per square foot values for single family homes increased 24% to $307, townhomes 38% to $288, and the lone condo sale was at $159 a square foot. Heading north to the Steamboat Lake area in towns of Hans Peak, Columbine, and Clark, total transactions dropped by 35%. Biggest loser was single family homes, which went down 41% from lack of inventory. Land sales also substantially decreased. The median price of a home increased 20% to 1.3 million. Townhomes jumped 217%, and land values were up 17%. Residential dollar per square foot values increased, up 4% with homes and 50% with townhomes. I hope you can see the trend here. Throughout this market study, no matter what geographic area we're looking at, either before or after this section in the report, in spite of the number of transactions all decreasing, median prices and dollar per square foot values are increasing. Now looking at the South Route communities of Oak Creek, Yampa, and Phippsburg, overall transactions dropped 26%. All categories but townhomes saw a decrease in transactions. The only median price that decreased was for single-family homes, but that only dropped 3%. All other types increased. Also, I do want to point out that if you do not see a marker on these graphs in any given year, like you may have noticed numerous times here, it means no sales occurred in that year for that property type. Although the median price for single-family homes dropped, the dollar per square foot value actually increased 19%. Townhome values increased 29%. Looking at the glorious South Valley, which has some of our most expensive properties in the area, overall transactions decreased by 32%. After land sales had a banner year in 2021, transactions dropped 48% to 34. Single-family homes continued their slow decline to 37. However, the median price for single-family homes went up 39% to $2.4 million. The reason there is such a big jump in the 2022 median price of townhomes is because there were only two 2022 townhome sales, and they were both on the shores of Lake Catamount and averaged $2.9 million. Residential dollars per square foot values for single-family homes went up 25% to 612. Condos are up 32% to $578 a square foot. Townhomes were skewed by the specific sales as mentioned before. And last, let's take a look at the city of Steamboat Springs along with the neighboring west subdivisions of Steamboat 2, Heritage Park, and Silver Spur. The 554 transactions for 2022 was the lowest number of sales posted in 9 years. The four major property types, condominiums are the most actively traded. There were only 234 condominium sales in 2022, or a staggering 37% drop. As of this report, there are only 15 Steamboat condos listed for sale. Townhome sales also slowed by 37% to 120, and 12 are currently listed. Just recently, one of those townhomes had an amazing 42 showings in the 3 days it was on the market. Land sales dropped 56% and 22 are available for purchase. Single-family home sales declined 14% at 162 sales and now with only 14 listed. Surprising, single-family home prices stayed unchanged from 2021 to 2022 at 1.55 million. Townhomes rose dramatically to 1.4 million. Condo prices went up 25% and land prices up 10%. The median price of a Steamboat condo sold for $737 a square foot in 2022. Townhomes went up 37%, and although, as we saw in the prior slide, where median price for a single-family home remained the same, the homes that sold must have been smaller in size, for the dollar per square foot value went up 13% to $607. Overall, the three residential property types averaged an increase in value of 24% in 2022. That ends our geographic look at the market. Now we'll take a look at the upper and lower end, starting with the introductory market. These properties are defined as being the lowest 15% of sales prices for each property type. The median price in 2022 for condos was $390,000, nearly doubling since 2019. An affordable townhome in 2022 was at $597,000, and an affordable single-family home cost $1,035,000. These are the highest prices for affordability the market has ever seen. Looking at the luxury market, over the past 3 years, the cost of Steamboat Luxury has more than doubled for both condos and townhomes. A high-end condo is now considered to cost around $2 million, townhomes around 2.8 mil, and single-family home luxury can be bought at nearly $3.9 million. From a size standpoint, the property size for single-family homes is right at 5,700 square feet, townhomes at 3,500 square feet, and condos just under 2,000. Year over year, the median price of a luxury home jumped 83%, townhomes 51%, and condos 19%. The highest single-family home sale was Big Creek Ranch. It closed for $39.9 million, had a 10,000 square foot main home, manager's home, and shop, and sat on 4,863 acres. 6 miles of Big Creek flows through the ranch, and it shares about 17 miles of boundary with the U.S. Forest Service. For condos, Penthouse 601 at One Steamboat Place sold for $5.5 million or $1,669 a square foot, and is the epitome of ski in, ski out luxury with 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, top of the world views from 3 decks, and 2 king suites with gas fireplaces. The most expensive townhome was a lakefront cabin on the shores of Lake Catamount and had 3 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, 2,370 square feet, and sold for $25,000 over list price at $3,050,000 or $1,287 a square foot. Dollar per square foot values increased between 29% to 42%, with all three property types breaking their prior records. And as you can see on this chart, it didn't take long for those luxury homes to get snatched up. Townhomes were only on the market 18 days, condos 7, and homes 4. So those were the highs, the lows, and everything in between our market last year. Thank goodness we're substantially out of the nasty clutch of COVID. If you want to say Steamboat's market got better or worse in 2022, it really depends on if you're a buyer or a seller. Listings declined 19%. Transactions declined 33%, but as identified, due mainly to the lack of inventory. And although the absorption rate dropped to 79%, it was still the second highest on record. Days on market slightly decreased by 14% to 12 days, giving buyers little time to move when the right property hit the market. And as we've seen, prices in every corner of the market increased. Overall, average prices went up to over $1 million for the first time in MLS history, and median prices went up to $685,000, a 37% increase. As mentioned at the outset, there was certainly a shift in the market from the first to second halves of 2022, but it was not only in lower sales, but actually fewer listings. The national economy regressed, giving both sellers and buyers hesitation to change their current status. But locally, more properties sold than came on the market, so the lack of inventory the market has been suffering from for the past 7 years got even worse. The market may be starting to get back to normal, or perhaps setting a new normal, for it has been trending in this direction since 2017. Just now at a slightly slower pace. After all, prices cannot continue to increase at an annual rate of over 20% forever. But lean more towards the seller side again, which seems to have happened continuously since 2017. If you're interested in where the market is trending today, click on my new and exclusive market indicator report at www.dougsbuysellmarketindicator.com. So what does my crystal ball say for 2023? First, let's identify the most important market factors that are going to transition us from 2022 to 2023. Foreclosures, which were commonplace from 2009 to 2014, are no consequence. In fact, there are only 2 notice of election and demands filed in all of Route County in 2022. Some economists feel real estate markets are going to crash. That may be true in certain areas, but perhaps not in resort areas like Steamboat. One of Morgan Stanley's housing strategists states there are 3 angles he considers when gauging the health of a market: new inventory, existing inventory, and the shadow or distressed inventory. We've now discussed all 3, and indications are Steamboat is currently in a healthy market. Now that City Council has put into place their short-term rental regulations, the market can now adjust accordingly. City Council created overlay zones defining geographic areas and if a property can be rented short-term. Those properties located in the green zone can rent by right. Those in the yellow zone have to meet special conditions, and those in the red zone are generally prohibited from short-term rentals. An STR is defined as renting out a residence for a period of less than 30 days. It appears those properties in the green zone have enjoyed a higher than normal bump in value. One would think that if the supply of STRs are reduced, the demand would increase along with the income it would produce. 2 years ago, the Steamboat Ski Area embarked on a $200 million improvement plan to the base area and ski area expansion. Included in this plan are an outdoor ice rink, performance stage, retail and restaurant space, and escalators. Mountain improvements include relocating the existing gondola, constructing a second gondola named Wild Blue, and adding 650 acres of skiable terrain that will make Steamboat the second largest ski area in Colorado. The majority of this work has already been completed and scheduled to finish out at the end of 2023. There is no doubt Steamboat's greatest assets are its signature champagne powder, genuine Western town, and friendly community. From a real estate perspective, what has made our real estate most attractive is our value. Although our prices have increased, so have values at other resorts, and we remain one of the most affordable top-tier resorts in the Rocky Mountains. So those are some factors from a local perspective, but what factors are going to influence our real estate market from a national or even international level? This graph is very telling. You can see as the stock market goes, so goes Steamboat's absorption rate. They work in near harmony. And as pointed out in Sotheby's market report, most luxury buyers use their equities portfolio to purchase a home. Interest rates are near and dear to everyone's heart, for they affect us in so many ways. The increases are happening, with experts still predicting increases another 2 or 4 times this year. And as you can see in this graph, as interest rates change, Steamboat's absorption rate acts in converse. Although 50% of Steamboat real estate purchases are cash, interest rates will still affect the other 50%. Where this will most be felt is more with affordable housing. Obviously, there are numerous other factors to consider when determining the future of our market, and conditions are always changing. In fact, just as I was finishing this report, Lawrence Yun, chief economist of the National Association of Realtors, came out with this statement regarding some recent economic news. The Silicon Valley bank failure, along with a few other banks, means that the Federal Reserve cannot be so aggressive in raising its short-term interest rates. Therefore, mortgage rates will decline. I think it's safe to say markets are always fluid. Otherwise, we'd all be able to have 8 peaceful hours of sleep at night, right? This chart shows the 3 major categories with trend lines suggesting their paths for the next 2 years. Here's what Corey Burr, Senior Vice President for TTR Sotheby's, says about the future. It's going to feel like it's getting cold very quickly, but the incredible peak that the real estate industry was on for over a 2.5-year period was nearly unprecedented. Anything but that scenario is going to seem like a strong cooling off. I've always said there's nothing the matter with the normal snow year. A return to a normal real estate market would be a good thing too. Well, here's what I'm forecasting for 2023. Keep in mind that helping me determine these numbers included what I started out the presentation with, by the way the second half of 2022 ended compared to the first half. Now we're starting the year with less inventory than we have ever had in over 16 years. And there are no new substantial developments coming out of the ground this year to add to the supply. Because of that, I see a 10% decline in listings to around 1,300. And with that decline in supply, it's only logical there will be fewer sales. Expect a 20% drop in transactions to around 960. Less inventory and still high demand is going to mean higher prices. However, because of the lower number of transactions, I expect the total dollar volume to be around $1.1 billion. And as a result of that, average prices will be up about 9% and median prices will go up about 10%. And throwing all economic factors out the window, the one thing that won't be changing anytime soon is the one-of-a-kind lifestyle Steamboat Springs offers. It's not for everyone, but for those seeking world-class year-round recreation, a healthy environment, friendly community, and beautiful landscape to live full-time or part-time, this is paradise. And that concludes my report. Well, congratulations on making it to the end of the presentation. I hope you learned at least one thing of interest about the steamboat market that you didn't know before. If you've been a client of mine, seeing this research and the amount of work it took to produce is not a surprise. Passing my market knowledge on to my clients to help them make the most informed decisions to one of the most important financial and lifestyle investments is one of my standards of practice. Over the years, I've developed several proprietary methods to help clients analyze the market and make the best decisions for their needs. And you'll quickly learn I'm not one to shoot from the hip. If I don't know the answer, I'll get it. That way, you'll know with confidence you have the most reliable and trusted advocate on your side of the table. And you'll easily find out I'm best at educating and negotiating, not acting. If you'd like to learn more about the Steamboat Springs real estate market and my professional services, visit my website at www.buysteamboat.com. Or better yet, give me a call or stop by my downtown office. I'm always happy to discuss anything real estate about our special community, and no one knows the market better. Thanks again for listening, and I hope to talk to you soon and put my 40 years of experience to work for you.